There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. That's Tim Dennis. And I've still got morning voice, Tim, so I can take it to that timber that I can't always hit anymore. So we've got some stuff to chat about. News, stories. I've got to do Dave's rant about something. I'm becoming a crabby old man. I got to admit it.
You're the man of righteous indignation, evidently.
I am.
Yeah. Right
now, I'm shaking my fist in the air. I know this is something that frustrates you, and it's frustrated you more than it's frustrated me over the years, but I pop once in a while as well, especially when I get angry emails from quote-unquote longtime listeners.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I want to address this because I want things brought out into the open, and I want people to have a better feel. I don't even know if those people are listening because they've sworn me off now because I'm such an egotistical prick. That's kind of the vein I get here. Okay. Now, am I getting hundreds of these emails? No. But I get enough from quote-unquote longtime listeners that it's bothersome. And it's the I can't believe you're so arrogant. You're so ego-driven. You're constantly shutting Tim out of the show. When you read the mail and it's not addressed to you first, you're always pissy and in a shitty mood about it and blah, 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 blah. They don't realize that's a bit we do.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's addressed to Tim first. I'm pretending to be that Larry Sanders, easily butthurt host by you addressing Tim instead of me first. I don't care, folks. Tim and I support each other. I don't care who writes who and what comes up first. I just read it. I play the little gig, just like the phenomena is a bit. And what? You mean you're not actually OCD, Dave, and have to say do? All right, well, that part is true.
Yeah,
I do in my mind and mic myself and have to mute myself quite often to do it when we tried to go cold turkey and it didn't last more than, a couple of months here. But those are little bits. So when we're acting with this righteous indignation, or you think that I'm being a dick for being mean to Tim about the whole AI versus zombie apocalypse. Again, folks, we're betting on two things that most likely aren't going to happen in our lifetime. And in Tim's opinion, will never happen. The zombie uprising. AI taking over the world, possibly. But for you to get mad at me or think that I'm being rude to Tim, obviously I'm being rude. We're having a mock fight about a brutally stupid subject. But we each have a choice. I love finding stories that lead people down the primrose path of zombie apocalypse. Tim likes when he gets backed with the AI technology taking over the world. It's just we took a side. That's it. We don't fight over Biden and Trump. We don't fight over Coke and Pepsi. We don't fight over Pizza Hut and Domino's. We don't fight over the important things, Tim.
Right. We fight over AI and zombies.
Right. Yeah. So when you're so mad at me and you're shaking your fist in righteous indignation at me over me being mean to Tim because I believe and talk over him that the zombie apocalypse is going to happen. Folks, if you watch online, we attack each other with those two about what's coming first. These are bits. They're just little fun moments to lighten the mood, to get your mind out of the concept of the world we're in. And I got to tell you, I've only had a lot of complaints about this over the last year when people are stuck home and maybe they're just in a more owly mood.
Okay.
And they think that we're we're going down. This is denoting the end of Darkness Radio because you and Tim can't get along and your ego won't allow it, is kind of some of the vibe I've gotten from these emails.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, my ego. Well, we all have egos. We're not in this business if we don't have an ego to a degree.
Right. Yeah.
Plain and simple. But our stuff is mock. We're just goofing off with one another. I mean, have we had spats? Yeah. Have we irritated each other on air? Sure. And if you listen to the archives, you'll stumble on those gems from time to time. But then you can legitimately hear two guys irritating the hell out of each other. Not two guys pretending to battle over if a zombie uprising or Terminator's coming or whose name gets read on an email first.
Think of Statler and Waldorf. That's the dynamic we're going for here.
Right, yeah, just two crabby old men battling out over nothing.
Now, if I can bring up something just real quick, if that's the end of your deal,
let me see where you're going to go next, and then if not, I might have something else to address. But please go ahead.
Oh no, it's nothing related to that. So if you want to finish what you were doing there,
please go on. Okay, I don't want to seem egotistical in keeping you from getting your shot.
No. So my mom brought something up because she was watching the Darkness Radio board on Facebook, and she came over to visit me yesterday, which is very nice. She just got vaccinated, so I feel like we're talking about a puppy getting its shots. That didn't come out right. But so she came to see me for the first time in a year. I got to see my mom in person, which was really nice. So, and she brought up something about the Darkness Radio boards, and she's all worried because she said, well, somebody said something about they don't get to hear Tim enough and blah, 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 blah. And I said, Mom, because she's kind of out of touch because she doesn't see me. And I said, do you even know what's going on with me right now? Do you even listen to me when I'm up in St. Cloud, when I'm on air in St. Cloud? Because if you do, and there's probably about maybe 7 listeners that listen to me when I'm up in St. Cloud, which thank God. If you do listen to me when I'm up in St. Cloud, God love you. If you've ever listened to me do a sports cast when I'm on the air in St. Cloud, and although I may sound very clear right now to you while we're talking, it's because I have this handy beverage in my hand right now. And occasionally I'll stop and I'll sip it. Okay. And I'll keep talking to you.
And let me mention, this was the other point, and this is why I yielded to you, because I thought this might be where you were going. Yep. So I'm glad it's coming from you and not me, but please go ahead.
So, I will stop on occasion. I'll take a sip of a beverage while I'm talking. Okay. A couple of years ago, I had 2 endoscopies done back to back, and they nicked, I believe they nicked a vocal cord. Okay. So I can read for about, and I used to read news for what Dave has now found out is an ungodly amount of time, about an hour at a time. They don't normally do that in broadcast. Okay. When I sit down to do my shift over at KNSI, I read 5-minute sportscasts, which are, not a long period of time. It's a long period of time in broadcast. It's 5 minutes is a long cast. For us to read for an hour and 15 minutes, is a long time in broadcast. When I read a 5-minute cast up at KNSI, it's not a long cast for me. But after 30 seconds, my throat gives out. It's not even 30 seconds. And I get the worst case of laryngitis you've ever heard in your life. You'll hear my vocal cords start to fray, and I can't get it back. I struggle to get through a 5-minute sportscast. And I try to get it back because right after my sportscast, I have a weather forecast. And I'm learning to try to retrain myself to because you're supposed to breathe through the diaphragm when you here when Dave and I are on air, we talk. You talk through the chest. A lot of times as I'm talking now, I'm breathing through my diaphragm and I'm trying to project like a singer does in order to keep my voice going. Pardon me. So
that is the sound of Tim taking a sip to moisten his vocal cords.
So what'll happen is I do everything I can to keep my voice low, to keep my voice steady, to not over power my vocal cords, keep them even, so that I don't blow them out through, well, a lot of times what is an hour and a half show on Wednesdays when we do Supernatural News. And Davis tried to say a lot of times to you guys, hey, you know what? The reason why we flipped roles on Wednesdays is because Tim does have a lot of things going on right now. And it's true. It's not a load of BS. It's not Dave going on an ego trip and I'm taking over the news now and I need more airtime. That's not it. It is truly that I have this thing going on with vocal cords and I'm trying to come up with a way now to get this fixed so I can, because it's not that, well, Dave's taking over the airwaves and the only way Tim gets airtime is to go to KNSI, and that's not it at all. It's that I can't physically read for an hour and change. There's just no way I'd get it done. I as it is, I barely had, I can barely speak up for a minute, 2 minutes at a time. I'm managing to get through this little monologue right now without my vocal cords breaking down. So that's where I'm going with that.
Perfect. And like I said, I'm glad you covered that, because you took that away from Tim. Everybody I don't know why they assume that I'm just overlording everything and I take things away. I've had enough of that. You're done, Tim.
No, it's not that at all. And I love that people care. It's great that you care. But please don't worry.
How about a nice little email? Geez, Tim hasn't been reading news. Is he okay? Instead of you egotistical overlord prick, how dare you? I've
gotten a few emails from people, and I've explained that to them. Hey, you know what? This is purely a thing that's going on with me. And I've explained that to every person that's emailed in to me. I've said, hey, I've got issues going on right now with myself. I had some dental surgery at first, and I'm still in the process of getting that done as well. So I've got two things really that are going on. I've got the vocal cords. I've got some dental surgery that does need to be finished. In COVID, if you've had any major dental surgery that's tried to be done during the pandemic, good luck to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dentists that aren't finishing procedures during COVID. But this vocal cord stuff and a lot of elective stuff, there's ear, nose, and throat people who aren't getting stuff done either during this. A lot of stuff has opened up, and I've had, like, with heart stuff, I've been able to get that stuff done. With stuff with my feet, I've been able to get that stuff done. But there's still a lot of elective stuff that isn't being done because, there's not.
And I haven't addressed a lot of because again, it's Tim's health issues. I don't need to drag him out into the sunlight if he's not, he'll talk about it if you ask him and things like that. But we don't usually, that's not what we're bringing up. We're hoping to give everybody an escape, not constantly remind everybody of our medical woes either.
And in all fairness, and here's the other thing too, I'm not and I'm going to use a swear word here. I'm not a fucking martyr. Okay, I'm a pretty tough guy. I'm not saying that to in false bravado here. I don't sit around waiting for people to baby me and pamper me and woe is me, And I get my work done. I do my stuff. I don't wait for people to sit around and pat me on the head and tell me what a great guy I am for being such a cripple or whatever. I don't want to. I know I used the C word. I didn't mean to. But you're such a good guy for as many problems as you have. I don't want to hear that.
Right.
The fact of the matter.
And you are, dude, one of the toughest men I've ever seen. Like I said, I get a paper cut and I need to lay down for half an hour. With the stuff you've gone through with your foot, your leg, your oral issues, that sounded weird, but with your teeth and some of the other medical issues and your diabetes, and you just power through. You're there. You do what you need to do, even on the worst days. So sometimes when you don't hear Tim talk a lot, it's because he's dealing with something and he's not gonna eat up time all the time talking about it. And like I said, we're here for relief for a couple hours a week. Yeah. I'm here to have fun and entertain. I'm not here to sit and talk to you about my medical maladies. This isn't the Timmy's medical malady show.
and we're here to have a good time. So I don't know what part of that I need to stress. So I don't know. Yeah.
But that gives you guys a little insight. We had a good working relationship with Tim doing news, me reading your letters.
And we'll get back to that. That's what I want to stress. We will get back to that. That will change and it will come back. Just, let me get this thing fixed and we'll get back to it.
Now, unfortunately, not everybody that's mad at me will listen to this episode to hear this. So,
we'll put something on social media too.
Right.
So, yeah.
But so that's it. And again, normally I don't care if people get mad at me from time to time. That's fine. That's human nature to disagree. But honestly, if we say one thing in one episode that kind of irritates you, just listen to the next episode. Usually we're on. I just think it's interesting when somebody's like, I've listened to you for 15 years. I can't believe you had this one thing wrong that I don't agree with, and now I'll never listen again. Did you think we were going to agree on everything? Honey, let's kiss and make up. We love to have you listen to the show, but for God's sakes, we do have opinions of our own, and you choose to listen to our show. So if we don't always line up with your edicts, that's okay. Don't let it kill you. Don't let it bother your day. Just, Dave likes that. What an idiot. Hey, I love the rest of the show that they do. So, let that be your focal point. That's all I'm bringing up.
Yeah.
People are people, as they tell us from Tears to Fears, Tim.
That was Depeche Mode, Dave. And
yeah, exactly.
Because I listened to a whole diatribe from Howard Stern the other day about how he thought Depeche Mode shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Which kind of pissed me off, to be honest. But I didn't write in. I didn't. No, I didn't write in. I didn't.
And you're going to stop listening now after 15 years?
No,
because you disagreed with one thing Howard Stern said.
No. I keep listening.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Tim, that doesn't seem right.
No,
stop listening and be really angry.
No, I rather enjoy the interviews. I think they're kind of good. Okay. Yeah.
Well, let's get to it, kids. We got a lot to talk about here. I've got a big news story. Big news story for us. You'll find out why in a bit. Are you a fan of The Office, Tim? Have you taken time to kind of power through The Office during the pandemic?
Dave, I'm a huge fan of The Office. I saw it the first time around. I actually, I will sit and when I'm not, when I'm sitting here in the studio and I have my iPad going, when it's not on wrestling and it's either on The Office or it's on or it's on South Park or it's on something on Comedy Central or I'm pretty much 24/7 doing comedy stuff. So yeah.
I love The Office. I loved it when it first. I shouldn't say that. I did not love it when it first came out. I had trouble with these reality style shows when somebody is so awkward. I don't know if you've ever had that. Like, I would get that tightness in my chest when I feel so bad for somebody you're watching because they're so awkward. And I had to get over that aspect of The Office, right? The Michael Scott and just how unbelievably clueless he was.
Yeah.
Drove me mad. And I understand it was a TV show, but it hurt my soul to watch somebody so clueless. So I had a hard time. I finally powered through it, and I loved the series.
Yeah.
Right? Once you get past that first 5-6 episodes and you can realize, okay, remember, Dave, this is an actor playing this bit. You don't have to feel bad for him all the time. You could feel bad for the character, but not overall. So I powered through it the first time it came through. I sat down and watched the entire series with my family during the COVID outbreak, like everybody else. Well, of course, one of everybody's favorite characters is Dwight Schrute, played by Rainn Wilson. Mm-hmm. And there's some pretty cool news. Check this out. Rainn Wilson is going to be starring in a dark comedy fiction podcast series, Dark Air, with Terry Carnation. Rainn Wilson, best known to legions of Office fans as Dwight Schrute, is fronting a fictional dark comedy podcast series featuring his alter ego, Terry Carnation. The actor is teamed with Audio Boom to launch Dark Air with Terry Carnation, which explores the on and off air life of a host of a late-night AM talk radio show that features outrageous callers and bizarre topics. Topics like UFOs, the paranormal, the occult, the Illuminati, and whether or not Kim Jong-un is secretly a robot. Co-created with writer Aaron Lee, the series stars Miracle Workers Karen Sani and I'm Dying Up Here's Al Madrigal, and will feature guest stars including Angela Kinsey, Yvette Nicole Brown, Tom Lennon, Creed from the show, Jason Reitman, Sam Neill, and Nathan Fillion. The series, which features more than 50 voices, was produced remotely during the pandemic over Zoom. It's Wilson's latest turn as Carnation. He previously featured that character in a series called Radio Rental, a podcast hosted by Payne Lindsay, which told spooky stories loosely themed around Carnation's secret VHS collection. The series, which will be available via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., from April 1st, is an original from Audio Boom, which is also behind podcasts such as The 45th, Covert, and It's Happening with Snooki and Joey. I'm beyond thrilled to announce a return to the scintillating airwaves of Dark Air, where I am open to discussing everything under the moon, if, that is, you believe the moon exists. No subject is off limit on my legendary paranormal call-in show, none whatsoever, except elves. Oh, and also my recent descent into madness at Rain, in character as Terry Carnation. So, that's coming out April 1st. Well, what does that have to do with this show? Well, hey, guys! I've got some big news. We have legendary late-night talk show host Terry Carnation joining Darkness Radio. That's right. He'll be our guest on Wednesday, the 30th of March. So tune in as we interview legendary radio host Terry Carnation. The Carnation Nation meets the Army of Darkness Radio in an epic episode. We'll be discussing supernatural news, Terry's thoughts on the supernatural and paranormal. So you're going to want to tune in on the 30th this month to our supernatural news segment when Terry Carnation will be our special guest going over news and personal stories of the paranormal. We're very excited about this and look to have a lot of fun. We will only be speaking with Terry Carnation on the program, just so we're clear. We won't have any other guests like this guy from Scranton that I know who runs a beet farm. He will not be stopping in, but I do know Terry Carnation will be joining us, and we're excited to have him be a part of the Darkness Radio family. And then make sure you check out A Dark Air. Sounds a little familiar to me, but I'm okay with that, Tim.
It does sound kind of familiar, doesn't it?
It does. And and Mr. Carnation is a supporter of our program and reached out to us and asked to be a guest on our program. So we're excited to have him join us. And we also wish Rainn Wilson a lot of luck on his new program that he's got coming out. So I wanted to just put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tim.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim. Yeah. Timothy Tim. Crystal Balls.
Huh?
Which was your dancer name, as I remember.
It was, yes. For
Crystal
quite a while.
Balls, people have been fascinated with the divination tool, a scrying tool, this beautiful globe of glass that allows you to look into your own soul and into the infinite universe, to relay to you information that could be helpful. You saw Whoopi Goldberg, I believe, use one in the movie Ghost, right? Every movie that's ever had anything to do with the supernatural and gypsies has a crystal ball. This powerful tool that can give you amazing insight into positive and negative things. But what happens, Tim, if you neglect that crystal ball, if you forget to go divine that crystal ball and get the answers that you seek?
Don't they turn black and fall off?
No, Tim. No.
Okay.
Let's go to the town of Delton and WKOW, the cow. They report this next story to us, Tim.
Okay.
The Delton Fire Department says the fire that caused an estimated $250,000 in damage to a home in Sauk County was ignited by a glass crystal ball. Firefighters were called to the home on Fox Hill Road around 4:20 p.m. Monday. The owner got home, found thick smoke throughout the house, and called 911. The investigation department determined that the fire started on a couch in the living room, according to the Delton Fire Department. Investigators determined it had been ignited by a glass crystal ball ornament that was on the table nearby. See, It got mad, Tim. It started a fire.
Mm-hmm.
It demanded attention, and when you would not give it to it, burned your house down. Well, maybe not quite that aggressive, though.
Wow.
Yeah, the table was in direct sunlight. Firefighters say when the sunshine came through a large set of picture windows and through the glass ball, it ignited the couch. So it became a focal magnifying glass. The Delton Fire Department says homeowners should keep such items as crystals, mirrors, glass ornaments, and even bottles away from direct sunlight, and particularly away from anything flammable. These items can act just like a magnifying glass and focus sunlight so much that the energy, which would normally be spread out over a wide area, is delivered to a much smaller, fine fire starting point. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The Delton Fire Department posted the photos to its Facebook page with the consent of the homeowner. I'm going to include photographs so that you can see this. It looks like you're looking into like a cool old haunted house.
Mm-hmm.
And you see the old smoked over crystal ball sitting on the table and the burned out remains of this house. But sadly, it's somebody's abode burned to the ground because of this. But I'll put that news story up at darknessradio.com. Click on the news tab to see that.
Do you remember in every old movie, Dave, when someone would go to see the scryer or the gypsy and they would ask for their fortune? What was the one thing when they would sit down in front of the mysterious object that ended up being the crystal ball? What was the one thing that was sitting over the crystal ball?
There was always a little cloak, a little
exactly.
like a lacy thing or something. Yeah, it would always be put over.
That's right.
That.
Do you ever wonder why that was on there?
I don't now, Tim. It's obvious that crystal balls are pyromaniacs. And
that's right.
When neglected, they will set fire to your home.
That's why it was over that object. It was over that object, one, so that no one else could see into the crystal ball and be able to use that gypsy's magic against them, and two, so that it wouldn't burn the damn place down.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with that. I think of how many people, including my family, that have had crystals hanging from the kitchen window or the front window, those little prism crystals.
Yep.
Boy, I didn't realize that. Now also, and you'll have to do your own research on this, folks. I'm just going to throw it out there because I seem to recall people last year having problems with this. Remember, be very careful if you're keeping hand sanitizer in your car as well.
Yeah.
And if you're leaving it, especially on like your dashboard or doing something stupid, because it can ignite as it gets hot.
Yeah.
It's high alcohol content.
Yeah, especially anything that's 60 to 70% or higher in alcohol content can go boom.
You know what is interesting to me is the hand sanitizers. Do you remember, what is it, 89% is what actually works to kill the bacteria?
It's 70% or higher.
Okay, 70% or higher.
Yeah.
Be careful, folks. Read carefully the labels, because I've been to places and I thought, oh my God, what a great deal. I went to this one store, had a box full of hand sanitizer, $5 a box. And I was about to pick it up and I looked at the box. It was 62%.
Yeah, that's why.
I'm like, oh, this is, it's effective to a low level, but it's not going to kill all the bacteria that you need to get rid of.
Right.
It's better than nothing, but you need to be careful. But don't leave containers of hand sanitizer out, because it too may end up blowing up your house. Hey, we've got some cool stuff to talk about. Theater of the Mind is something that we love on the show, and we love that you enjoy it. And we have encouraged listeners, if you want to record your own Theater of the Mind, and you are good at putting together the little elements of the music or the sound effects, you certainly can. Just don't use any licensed music, because we cannot play those. But you can send them in to me. If you want to record them and send them in, dave@darknessradio.com. You can certainly do that. Or if you want to record your voice telling your own story, you can do that. And Tim will add the elements of sound and music into that, just as long as you're keeping it to, between anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes at the longest to kind of have that story. We find that's right the kind of the sweet spot, 3 to 10 minutes long. You could send those in and Tim will add the elements. And today we have a special Theater of the Mind that was sent in from a listener who is also an author, writer, poet, and took some of the examples of strange phenomena that she has experienced and has put it together into a Theater of the Mind for us. It's one of the shortest but I think one of the coolest little theater of the minds that we've had an opportunity to play. And this is no slight on the amazing work that Tim does, but this just takes us to a different aspect of what is possible with theater of the mind, meaning, it doesn't have to be these long fleshed out deals. So I wanted to make sure that we could showcase this. And I think she was a little concerned that we wouldn't because it was so short. But I want to thank Nicole Giacomusi for putting this out and sending it to us. And she created this entire thing. The music, the sound effects, and the story is all hers. Poems that she tied together and made available for us. So let's do that now. Let's take a quick break. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for Theater of the Mind. 3 a.m. submitted from Nicole Giacomusi.
3 a.m. Shut your eyes, settle your mind. Breathe. 'Tis only your imagination. Reassurance is for doubters, and anxiety is building as heavy as the tick-tock of the clock on the wall. Sleep. Sheets are wildly thrown about, legs are wrapped and twisted in Egyptian cotton. Mind is on the edge of the tangible and lost. Forsaken shadows cling to the wall. I do not see you, or so I say. Come now, gather your sanity. Impenetrable, thick as midnight, watching, standing still they wait. 'Tis only shadows, shadows heavy and tense, blackened and solid, immovable, shadows staring just beyond the edge of my bed. A goose feather fortress surrounds my head, buried amongst blankets. Inching away from the edge, naked skin retreats and hides away from the night. Bloodshot eyes rapidly roll, imprisoned within their sockets. Deep, soft breaths escape only the same. 3 a.m. The hour is silent, painfully silent. I hear you creeping, closing in, a shift across the carpet. Archangel Michael, I humbly pray to thee. I feel you, be gone, for I have no fear. Wraith, spirit, being. Confused, I awake as daylight floods into my room. Perhaps it was all just a horrible dream.
That was awesome. Nicole, thank you. Again, a refreshing little bit. It's, you know what that was, Tim?
What's that?
That's that when you go into the bathroom at a fancy restaurant and on your way out, somebody gives you a little spritz of cologne. That's what that was. It's that nice little refreshing spritz of something different.
That it is, yeah.
Yeah, so we appreciate that. And Tim really appreciates that.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah.
He got a week off from having to produce one of these longer epics. So we appreciate that and having some fun. So let's get to it. We've got more news to cover, a lot more news to cover. And we've got some of your emails to take into account as well. But Tim, it seems both of our nightmares have combined to create this next news story.
Oh, no.
This news story, the most powerful news story sent to me this week by literally tens of people, Tim.
Tens of people?
Tens of people have sent this to me in email form or on social media or have sent smoke signals up to alert me to this story. But they said, this one is it, Tim. This is the one that both of you kind of win with this story. And I like a story where we can both kind of win.
Sure, yeah.
Russian life extensionist. I didn't even know that was a title. I'd like to become a life extensionist. Alexei Turchin experienced the loss of a classmate firsthand when he was young. Ever since, he's been on a mission to figure out how to make humans, like Greek gods, immortal. And the latest iteration of the transhumanists' roadmap to immortality involves, of course, a veritable sci-fi blend of super intelligent AI, Tim. Universe simulations and Dyson spheres, Tim. At first I thought, what, that ball that's used on the Dyson vacuum cleaner? That's the difference?
Even that's evil, though, Dave. If you ever tried to run one of those over your carpet?
I do. I have a Dyson. I love it.
Yeah.
And if you're listening, we'll advertise for you on the show. Tim apparently won't, but I will. The Dyson sphere, that's what makes the dead come back to life. It's a hypothetical megastructure that completely encompasses stars. Well, Turchin and fellow transhumanist Maxim Chernyakov outlined several future paths toward immortality in a paper they recently self-published. The paper, which comes via Popular Mechanics, is titled Classification of Approaches to Technological Resurrection, which was, I believe, the third album by Tupac Shakur, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was one of the more controversial Tupac albums out there, yeah.
It offers several ways people could theoretically not only defy death, but more fantastically come back from the dead, Tim. Yeah, so we have coming back from the dead and AI combined into one terrifying encounter. Death seems to be a permanent event, but there is no actual proof of its irreversibility, the authors write. And while no method is currently possible, many may become feasible with future technological development. The authors explore both conventional and speculative ways of making humanity immortal, from cryogenics, which is where you freeze somebody. You think of Futurama, right? When Fry falls back into that tube and freezes for 20,000 years. To uploading our brains into the cloud and then ultimately back into cloned bodies. From all the movies we've ever seen, that never goes wrong.
No, never.
Aside from the cryogenics approach, Turchin and Chernakov say strong AI will be essential for life after death. That is, being alive back in this life after death, whatever this life is. The super intelligent form of AI, which could very well arise in our lifetime, would be instrumental in, say, uploading people's consciousness to the cloud and then running them in simulated universes, a la Black Mirror's San Junipero episode. But the power demands required for that kind of AI, the authors say, would be gargantuan. And while Tesla batteries are popping off production lines at quite a clip, they just wouldn't cut it. That's where the Dyson spheres come in, Tim. I say it like the guy from the commercial. The Dyson spheres.
The Dyson spheres.
Yeah, it's a shell-shaped solar panel encompassing stars, absorbing their energy. That's where that would come in. The spheres, theorized by theoretical physicist Freeman Dyson, not the guy that makes the vacuum cleaners, could come in multiple flavors.
Flavors?
That's a weird, so you could go lick this big chocolate shell around a star. That sounds dangerous, but delicious.
Yeah.
Two of which, there is the one immediately above in this picture shows a swarm of solar panels around a star. And while humanity is likely to build neither in our lifetimes, if super intelligent AI does come online anyway, it could probably handle the task no problem. So there you have it, Tim. They might be bringing the dead back thanks to AI. Then who do we split a box of Twinkies?
I guess
you know what? I would have to yield to you at that point because it wouldn't be a zombie apocalypse. It would just be a downloaded brain scan or something of humanity. That it wouldn't be eating people, and that's kind of what my take is. People would be eating people.
You wouldn't be eating people, but would you really be yourself? Think about it. I mean,
people who eat people.
Because a zombie doesn't really have its own personality or its old personality. Would you really have in this new AI construct? Would it really be you?
Wow, Tim. All right, zombies, you heard him. If you're pissed off and you want to send hate mail to Tim, tim@darknessradio.com. I can hear it right now, Tim. Listen.
Yeah, go ahead. Start typing. See how many fingers you have left after you're done.
Egotistical bastard. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did, yeah. No, I'm the one with the ego. Yeah. Wow. Evidently, it was the finger comment that got him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was a finger just drop off. Dude, I am still in love with The Walking Dead.
I am too.
I love this series, but there has to be some supernatural element to this as well, because how are these rotting corpses who you could pull their skin off, break their arm off? How do they have enough muscle texture in their fingers to shred your stomach apart and eat your entrails, Tim? I don't understand that theory in The Walking Dead.
Well, it's because they're getting exercise, Dave. That's why.
I guess so.
It's all that
They're always
walking.
working up and dragging themselves along in their fingers, maybe.
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, you see them in the show, and they put their hand on, they drag, and like their fingertips break off. But yet they can grab me and tear me open. Try right now, everybody, wherever you are. I want you to take your fingers, put them on your stomach, and try to pull your stomach apart. Try it right now. See, you can't do it. Do you know how many hours I've sat there playing with myself?
Huh?
Oh, wait, that came out wrong.
Oh.
Trying to tear my own stomach open to see if I could eat my own entrails, Tim. Hasn't happened.
But your fingernails aren't that long, Dave. I mean,
Even so, but I'm strong. I have strong fingers from playing with myself, Tim.
Huh?
Well, trying to tear myself open all the time. I'm constantly practicing, you know? I want to get that meaty goodness, Tim, and I can't. So I'm going to be a horrible zombie, because alive and strong, I cannot tear people apart and eat them.
I don't think you're supposed to, Dave. Not while you're alive. Yeah.
All right. I didn't know there are rules and regulations.
There kind of are.
Wow.
That's part of suspending your disbelief here, my friend, while you're watching the show.
I know. I know. I get it, but it's still like, and here, Grandpa Dennis comes to mind. I think Grandpa Dennis would have been the perfect survivor in the zombie apocalypse. Do you want to know why?
Why is that? Oh, he'd have kicked ass. Yeah, but right. You tell me. Yeah.
Here's why.
Mm-hmm.
I love your Grandpa Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of my favorite humans on the planet, right? It took me in under his wing when I moved to this great state, had me over for Sunday dinners and everything with your family, and was just wonderful. And we would take him to hockey games, and he would laugh at my obnoxious comments to the North Stars, and we had a great time. But here's what I think, and you could ask my wife Winnie on this, because I bring this up all the time. People walking around completely exposed in the zombie apocalypse piss me off.
Okay.
When Grandpa Dennis told me that when he was a kid, what he would do is take old National Geographics and wrap them around his shins and his arms, and tape them to create hockey pads.
Yes. Yep.
And you walk, and people are constantly being bitten on the arms and legs by zombies. I told my wife I would be walking around with like thick National Geographics taped around my legs and my forearms and perhaps even biceps to give the outside protection so that they can't bite through it. But that is what I always think. Your grandpa would be out there with National Geographics taped to him, beating the living hell out of zombies because he wouldn't let him get close enough to bite.
He would do something similar to that. Yeah.
So I just sit there and I watch. Why are people not just, you should have one of these guys that just is like, hey, we're in a library. Let's go grab some National Geographics and tape ourselves up so that we have a little bit more protection. But then I wonder, will that even work? Because somehow zombies can bite through denim, which I've tried as well. When I'm not playing with myself, I'm trying to bite my own denim. What?
Not to get spoilery about, I did think about him last night. Not to get spoilery about last night's episode, but Maze, the character that Robert Patrick played, the line about the Bibles and toilet paper?
Yes.
That was my grandfather.
Yeah.
About the thin pages.
Yep.
Yeah, that was him.
So when I was doing my zombie typing a hate mail to you, I was actually hitting my keyboard. Believe it or not, that wasn't a real zombie sending you an email. That was me making those noises. And I sent that message accidentally to Winnie. So she goes, I wouldn't know how to pronounce that even if I was Einstein, because the message I sent her was just KSGGJLJK.
Now, I will tell you, Grandpa was bit by a shark. So
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm serious.
Holy
cow. When he was in World War II in Krigidor, he was one of the first frogmen, by the way, in World War II. He was bit by a shark down in Krigidor.
Toughest guy. Amazing man. I loved your Grandpa Dennis.
Pretty damn tough.
Yeah. Great guy. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We've got more news stories. We've got some of your emails we'll get to. And we'll talk about that next, right here on the best in Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm Dave. That's Tim. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the program. This is Darkness Radio. We are your home for the best in paranormal talk radio. Do you know, the other day, Tim, I was actually a guest on somebody else's show. And they're like, well, how can people listen? I said, hey, we are the best in paranormal talk radio. You can listen to us 5 nights a week. I've obviously somehow time locked into, like 6 years ago and was channeling that version of Dave Schrader. But we are on now. You can hear us a lot. With Tuesday, we have True Crime Tuesday. And we've got a cool episode, interesting episode tomorrow that I'm interested in people getting a chance to listen. Homicide at Rough Point with Peter Lance. He'll be our guest tomorrow. In the fall of 1966, billionaire Doris Duke killed a close confidant in an incident that the Newport, Rhode Island police hastily ruled an accident. But half a century later, an investigative reporter returns to his hometown and proves that the vindictive heiress may have gotten away with murder. That's tomorrow on the best in True Crime Talk Radio. Wednesday, that was yesterday. God, I'm already out of sync here, Tim. See what happens when we record out of order?
Yeah.
So yesterday was True Crime Tuesday. Yep. Today is Supernatural News.
Yep.
And we're having some fun with that. But Thursday, that's what I was going to say, Tim. Oh, my God. A skeptic's unexpected proof that there is life after death. We're going to talk with our guest, Mike Anthony, tomorrow on the show and discuss his really powerful story. So make sure you tune in for that. Then tomorrow night, Thursday night, Tim, we have a brand new Holzer's Ghosts. And this episode will incorporate the Queen Mary. We're going to talk about the Queen and the episode that just aired last week, Dead Calm, of the Holzer Files on Discovery Plus. Yeah, if you didn't know it, folks, I've got a TV show called The Holzer Files, and they release new episodes every Saturday on Discovery. There's only one new episode coming up, and that's this Saturday. And then we're done with season 2. Hopefully we'll hear back on season 3. But we're going to talk about the Queen Mary this Thursday night on the program. And it's a live video stream on the Darkness Radio Facebook page, on Dave's Facebook page, and on the Darkness Radio YouTube page. Yes, there is an official Darkness Radio YouTube page where you can go back and hear old episodes of Darkness Radio. We can also see and hear some of the episodes of Holzer's Ghosts as we talk about and break down each one of the past episodes that have aired. So this week, Cindy Kaza, Shane Pittman joined me, Erica Frost from the episode, the psychic medium who worked aboard the Queen Mary for many years. So we've got an interesting show lined up for you this Thursday night. That episode will be available Friday in podcast form. And we're going to be creating some other new content along the way. After I'm done with season 2, I'll go back to season 1 and finish up the episodes there. So eventually all 23 episodes of Holzer's Ghosts will be discussed. We'll talk about every one of those episodes and have some fun diving deep. And this last week was a lot of fun. I had Aaron Sagers on with me, Tim, talking about a super secret behind the last episode of Holzer's Ghosts, when we were looking into this house that had ties to the Underground Railroad. And there's a story there you will only hear by listening to that episode, which was last Friday's podcast. So if you haven't listened to it, there's about a 5-10 minute laugh session with Aaron Sagers. And then people ask, well, Darkness Radio, that's Dave and Tim. Why isn't Tim on with you? Well, he's not on the Holzer Files, and it's a Thursday night, and I try not to tie up all of Tim's time. So believe it or not, we record that episode. I immediately download the audio, send it over to Tim. He does his magic to it and puts it up so that there's an episode on Friday. So he is part of that. But because we have guests and other people popping in and out, that's what's going on in the Holzer's Ghosts episodes. So that's what's happening. But Tim also has a TV show on Discovery Plus and Travel Channel that you'll be able to check out, Paranormal Night Shift. And he's on, like 6 or 8 of the episodes of that TV series?
I'm on 8 of the 13.
Cool. 8 of the 13 episodes, you'll find our very own Timmy D looking all handsome. And he's a part of that. That Haunted Hospitals episode, dude, that just airs constantly. People are constantly sending me screen caps of the strapping young black man that is Tim Dennis.
Well, you know.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch Haunted Hospitals and find my episode. It's a fun story, but they portrayed Tim as a 6'4" black young youth. So check it out. It's worth viewing. But you can watch Tim's show, Paranormal Night Shift, or Holzer Files on Discovery Plus. How do we get more seasons of both? Watch them. Tell friends about them. Share them. Talk about them on social media. Spread the word so that people watch these shows. The more you watch them, the more you download them, even if you have them running in the background while you're sorting laundry or doing whatever. That will help keep your favorite shows on the air.
You didn't know that The Jerk was my actual life story, did you?
The Jerk?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I was raised a poor black child.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny is this weekend, talking about movie references and how they align with our lives, I realized I am literally the Forrest Gump, minus the success in millions. I am the Forrest Gump in real life, Tim. When I think of how many celebrities and famous people I've bumped into inadvertently through my life, I'm very Forrest Gumpy in that nature, except for I don't like to run, and I will never be a shrimp boat captain. But other than that, I'm slow-witted. I'm, have a big heart, and I love shrimp. So I'm very much like Forrest Gump in that fact, and I also bump into celebrities constantly. So it's kind of a cool life. As I was reviewing this last week, just thinking this weekend celebrity. Oh, I'll watch a show. I'm like, oh, I've met him. Oh, I've seen him. Oh, I've talked to him. And I'm like, my God, I've talked to a lot of cool people in my life. I'm pretty blessed with that.
There you go. Yeah.
So, you know what? How about this, Tim? How about, so Holzer's Ghosts is the special that we do on Thursday night where we review the episodes. How about this? Next Saturday is our season finale for the Holzer Files.
Okay.
How about the following Thursday, you join me on Holzer's Ghosts, and we'll have another guest or two join, but you be on the season finale with me, and you can ask questions, and we'll talk about the series.
Sure.
All right. How about that, folks? Then will that allay your fears that we're slowly breaking up because TV has gotten to us too much and we're drifting apart? You don't want to see the captain and Tennille of Paranormal Radio break up, and you're concerned. We'll do that show together.
Do I have to show up in a dress? Am I the Tennille?
Of course you are.
Wow, I got to shave my back for this, huh?
No, why should you? She didn't.
Well, that's true. Yeah, Tennille did have.
All right, let's see. We've got some emails I want to get to. Dear Dave and Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the way it starts, but then jumps right into this. First of all, kudos to Tim, the man behind the scenes. There would be no Dave without Tim, which is not necessarily true, as he did not inseminate my mom. So that has nothing to do.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
It's not like I only came into existence because of your seed. But on the show, you're correct. There would be no Darkness Radio without Tim. So. Not for lack of trying, I should say, Tim.
My apologies to your bio dad.
Yeah. There would be no Dave without Tim. Tim is the Robin to Dave's Batman. I do like that, though. I like that you're the Robin to my Batman. So now I'm just mentally picturing you in short green shorts.
Again, with the
little green slippers.
There'd have to be a little grooming because those it would look like they had.
I don't want grooming. I want thick back and leg hair jutting out and crazy places.
It would look like I had Oscar the Grouch in a leg lock.
Okay, now listen, folks. Mm-hmm. We have our artist friends out there. I want to see the depiction of Dave as Batman, Tim as Robin in our costumes. I want to see Tim and I spilling out over our belt lines and lots of hair protruding out on Tim's legs and back in his Robin costume. Email it to me, dave@darknessradio.com. Then it goes on to say, I love Tim's sense of humor.
Thank you.
Secondly, Dave, I love how analytical you are. You're a great interviewer. You always ask the questions I have. It's like you're reading my mind. Maybe it's because we're both vintage 1967. Could be, Carolyn. I don't know. But there is one question that I have never heard you ask before. Sometimes you have guests that speak of vibration. I was wondering, is there a scientific explanation to the commonly used metaphysical term vibration, as in raising your vibration, or the realms or dimensions that exist in a lower vibration or a higher vibration? What is vibrating? Your atoms, particles, and molecules? That can't be it, because if it were, heating and cooling would raise or lower your vibration. So, from a physics or scientific standpoint, what does the paranormal or metaphysical term vibration mean? Love your show. You can use my name if you want to. All right, for now on, people, you may call me Caroline Moe. or Carolyn Mo. Either one, you can call me. I don't care. I'll answer to both now, since she said I can use her name. Tim. What do you think?
Oh, well, I like it. It's a good change. Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the best in paranormal talk radio. I'm your host, Carolyn Mo, along with that guy, the Robin of the paranormal, Tim Dennis.
Howdy, Carolyn.
Sweet Carolyn, Batman.
Bum, bum, bum.
You know, I think, I don't know if there is a scientific explanation for that vibrational definition that you're looking for, because again, science doesn't really necessarily examine the paranormal that way, but they do talk about vibrational shifts. Everything has a vibrational pattern. So you are correct in assuming, well, if it's too fast, it heats up. If it's too slow, it stops. But you know, the old theory is if you put your hand on a brick wall and stand there long enough, at some point you may phase through it, or at least part of you, because its molecular structure and yours are always in phase and changing, and you might just slide through. But I think that's what it's talking about. And getting yourself to an elevated vibrational plane or lowering your vibration, I think, again, has something to do with intention, setting yourself to a different enlightenment, a different position in order to connect. And we all do have different vibrations to us. Science will tell you nothing is solid. It is all molecules that are constantly moving, right? So I think it's theoretically talking about reaching these different levels and communicating through this vibrational tonality. And some people, Tim may be tuned, you know, we could be in a haunted place together, and Tim is tuned to FM and I'm tuned to AM. That may be why he hears the voice coming through or sees a ghost that I do not. It doesn't mean he's hallucinating or wrong. It just means that he was in phase or in shift with that spirit and was able to see or communicate with it a little bit better. I don't know. And we have people out there that are much smarter than me. See, no ego here, folks, that may be able to write in and explain it a little bit better to us. But Carolyn, I promise I will try to remember to ask that question next time we have a guest on that gets into that. But again, it'll probably end up similar to what I just spoke about, because, you know, most of the people that we have on the show are metaphysical in nature. But if we talk to a Neil deGrasse Tyson again, or we talk to a physicist or an engineer, I can see if we can maybe get that. Tim, feel free to bring that question back up to me. You have a better memory for that than I do.
Okay.
But it's a great question, Carolyn. Thank you so much for writing in, and thank you for the compliments and putting in my mind Tim spilling out of a Robin the Boy Wonder suit. Fat Man and the Boy Robin, what do you think?
I'll take it.
Hi, Dave. I know you're doing mostly Holzer cases, but I've had a thought maybe you could appreciate this. People have occasionally speculated that Bigfoot can see into the IR spectrum of light. That means in pitch darkness, an IR trail cam or video cam would light up like a bright beacon. What if this is exactly why capturing an image on a trail cam is so difficult? Maybe Bigfoot does not want to get into the IR light. Do you think a different type of camera would work? Thank you. And his subject of this, Bigfoot, why hasn't anyone thought of this? Actually, Jeff, a lot of people have thought of this. We've talked about it over the years, that may be a very big and very real reason of why we don't get that. Many animals can see into the IR spectrum, and it lights up an area that they're able to go into. And because of their visual perspective, they may be able to see better. So maybe that's why you see deer and other animal come up and eat in those areas, and why Bigfoot avoids them. But again, theoretically, we don't know what the visual spectrum is that Bigfoot can see in. So there are full spectrum cameras, but that would use a light source as well. And that light source would also theoretically be something that Bigfoot may be able to key into. Maybe why we get more photographs of Bigfoot in daylight than we do at nighttime. Because I can't really even think. I think I've only seen one or two potential Bigfoot sightings on night vision camera, right? There's thermal imaging that shows some giant mass, but again, the skeptical side of Tim and I will say, how do we know it's not Bobo out in the woods? Somebody's videotaping and he looks huge because he's Bobo, right? He's like 6'9" and a big fella out in the woods. And if you shoot him from a distance, the thermal would make him look that way without any definition. But people have thought of that quite a bit, Jeff. And I don't know if we'll ever get a straight answer on that. I think there's other ways to do this and investigate Bigfoot sightings. And I'm actually talking to a few people about that and hoping that when COVID lifts, we can get together and actually use my thoughts on this. Again, my thoughts are not all original. The people I've spoken to have heard different versions of my idea, but they want to try to not implicate. What's the word I'm looking for,
Implement?
Tim? Yeah, implement. They want to implement them and see if maybe we can find something better. So I am going to get out in the field and try to do a little Bigfoot. And Tim, and I'm going to, I spoke to Dr. Melba Ketchum, and she has an open invitation for me to visit a site where she is very confident I will have a Bigfoot encounter. And I'm going to go do that. So I am fascinated by it. I'm interested. I've been warned that they might do that, that bull rush up on you thing and try to intimidate and frighten you. So I'll probably be wearing 2 layers of Depends when I go out into the woods to do this. But
good idea. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot. But yeah, Jeff D., good thought. But many people have thought of that already as well. Hello, Dave and Tim. Great show. My wife got me into listening to your show. I never put much credo into the field of science, thinking it was just a fringe thing. I do, however, notice a sudden increase in these type of, dare I say it, yes, phenomena. All across the world. I'm a substitute rural delivery driver for the USPS. That's the United States Postal Service, for those of you in other countries. I work mainly when my primary needs time off and takes her Saturday route. Last week, however, I had to run the route all week. I work in a small town post office in rural America. I do know this state has its share of hotspots. The small post office I work in is a small rural town. I was working, and the clerk who works was done for the day. He closes early on Saturday. While talking to him and casing the mail is when we sort the mail for delivery. For some reason, I said to him something along the lines of, "Are you sure we're the only ones working here?" To be completely honest, I was just joking around with him, but he raised his eyebrows at me. Well, he finished his duties and left for the day. I still had quite a bit of mail to case before I went out on my route, so I decided to play some 50s music while I cased. So I'm plugging along, dancing around, and all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, a person was standing to my right side. At first, I was startled. Not afraid, just startled. Well, I had a lot to do, so I ignored it and pressed on with my duties. Then, shortly after that, from behind my back, I smelled a strong odor of perfume. Now, the post office was closed, with the exception of the lobby for customers to access their P.O. boxes. At that time, I turned the music down and peeked through the back side of the P.O. boxes to see if anyone was in the lobby. But there was no one there. I was very confused, so I went back to casing and listened to the music and danced along to some of the better tunes. I paid no mind to the weird experiences because I needed to get my job done. Well, I put my mail on the cart to load it into my vehicle. I then turned off the music and started to push the cart out to my vehicle. Just as I got to the door, something pushed a secure box of mail strapped down off my cart. I was freaked out at this point. I suspected whatever I had encountered didn't appreciate the fact that I was leaving and had turned off the music. Well, I didn't address it. I just loaded the mail and did my job. I was not scared during this event, and I didn't address it because, well, I got to get the mail out. I do know for a fact that that no one else was in the building during this entire event. Well, I go back to the post office tomorrow, so we will see. Thanks for your time. P.S. Dave, if I go before you, I'm going to haunt you and mess with you, and that comes from David August. Thank you, David August. I think. I don't know that I necessarily want you to haunt me, but okay.
A little creepy, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, why? I think it's creepy that a complete and utter stranger wants to haunt me, Tim. Yeah. I think it's kind of romantic.
Well,
maybe not.
Nah, not so much.
A huge fundraising campaign has been launched to save one of the UK's most famous haunted mansions, Tim. Yeah, you heard that right. A campaign to save one of Wales' most haunted buildings from falling apart has been launched. People staying at Plas Teg claim to have seen ghostly figures and a dead barking dog roaming the halls. The owners say laughter and strange voices are often heard. Furniture moves without explanation, and guests experience sudden changes in temperatures and rapid mood swings. But while the spooky 17th century mansion in Pontblydden, I don't know how else you'd say it, Tim.
No.
Pontblydden, Pontblyddyn. See, over in Europe, they just make up words and town names that are ridiculous to me. Pontblydden is a popular attraction for ghost hunters. The owners are struggling to maintain it. Plas Teg Trust, which was set up to preserve the building, told the North Wales Live that over $10,000 needs to be spent on urgent repair work due to problems with the roof and the timber. In a statement, the trust said a huge thank you if you've donated to help with the repairs required at the magnificent Plas Teg. You've helped us raise close to $700 so far. That's not much, but they need $10,000. The urgent repairs exceed $10,000, so all donations will help and are greatly appreciated by Cornelia and the trust. The Grade 1 listed mansion built by Sir John Trevor in 1610 is said to be one of the most haunted buildings in Wales. It was taken over and saved from neglect by Cornelia Bailey 35 years ago, who recently celebrated her 85th birthday. Plas Teg is thought to have been used as a local court during its history, where people were tried and hung. The infamous hanging judge George Jeffreys is said to haunt the corridors of the house. Ghost hunters also claim to have seen John Trevor V, who died in a carriage crash after he allegedly killed his wife because she was having an affair. The ghostly figures of Sir John's daughter, Dorothy, the 16-year-old Elizabeth Roper, who either fell or was pushed down a well after getting involved in a love triangle, has also been spotted. And in 2016, paranormal investigator Paul Rowland shared eerie footage claiming it shows the ghost of a dead barking dog inside Plas Teg. And in 2006, pop group Girls Aloud visited Plas Teg for the ITV2 show Ghost Hunting with Girls Aloud. Led by Most Haunted presenter Yvette Fielding. They heard mysterious knocks, and Cheryl Fernandez Versini started crying and claiming a ghost touched her arm. You can donate to this. How? Well, just go to darknessradio.com, click on the news tab, and you'll be able to find this story. Just scroll all the way to the bottom of this article, and it said to donate to the building costs, click here, and you can click that and help to save the building if you are so inclined to do so. And I know we've got a lot of people with big hearts out there. Speaking of big hearts, if you would like to help raise money for Special Olympics, just email me, dave@darknessradio.com, and ask for the link. My son, Cliff, who is a Minnesota firefighter, helps raise money and awareness every year doing something called the Polar Plunge, where he and his fellow firefighters will dive into the icy lakes of Minnesota. They cut a hole in the ice. These people then jump into that hole, and it's a day spent with many different organizations doing this. It's shocking, to say the least, and that's the idea, shocking and bringing awareness to the world about the Special Olympics and the needs that they have. So these Special Olympians need help with training, travel, and uniforms. And if you would like to make a donation, $1, $5, $10, $1 million, just email me at dave@darknessradio.com and send me, on the subject line, say Polar Plunge or Special Olympics, and I'll send you that link. We're almost at $2,500. We have a lofty goal of $10,000. Last year we raised $5,000. I know we could at least get there. $10,000 was a pipe dream, a hope. But let's see what we can do this year. If you've got it in your ability to kick out a few bucks, let's do that. Again, if just every one of our listeners kicked in $1, Tim, we would blow this challenge out of the water, and it would be such a great opportunity. So think about it. If you're into it and that's something you're confident you could do, just email me and I'll get you that link sent out immediately.
Right on.
Ex-soldier claims Bigfoot with special powers exists after his pal spotted some kind of large humanoid. You got it. Oh my God, the pop-up channel ever. Boy, this news story's got a bajillion of them. A paranormal investigator has claimed one of his team witnessed the legendary beast Bigfoot, rumored to roam North America, but it vanished without a trace. Trey Hudson, who is the director of the Oxford Paranormal Society and served in the U.S. military in Afghanistan as operations and counterterrorism officer, told Daily Star about some of the phenomena he says his team has witnessed. He has been leading paranormal expeditions at a top secret location known only by its code name, The Meadow. And his new book, The Meadow Project, Explorations into the South's Skinwalker Ranch, has just been published, leaping to #1 in Amazon's paranormal section. Over the years, Trey claims to have witnessed some truly bizarre things, and one of these expeditions has made him consider that Bigfoot could be more than just flesh and blood, and it may have special powers. A being described as similar in appearance to Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, was allegedly spotted by a member of his team in the middle of the night in a chilling encounter. Recalling the event, Trey said at about 2 or 3 a.m. that evening, he saw a white humanoid-type shape peering around a tree, watching our camp. He went to get one of the team members who has a very sensitive piece of thermal equipment, a very expensive FLIR unit camera, to see if she could direct the heat signature of, or detect rather, the heat signature of this being. And by the time she woke up and gathered her wits and equipment and got out there, the entity was gone. Even weirder, he said, there was no physical evidence of a figure or animal standing in that same spot when they investigated. Trey added, "It's interesting to note many members of my team are also trained in tracking. We know how to track a person through the forest, look for footfalls, disturbances in the environment, compressed earth, compressed vegetation, etc. We went to the area where there had been they had been seen looking for any disturbed vegetation, scuff marks, if the bark on the tree was disturbed, so we could find no evidence this creature was actually there in a physical form. Of course, a plausible explanation for there being no evidence of a figure standing in the spot could simply be because it never existed in the first place. But Trey remains open-minded about the Bigfoot theory and believes the experience proves the mythical creature is both a living animal and a dimension-hopping manifestation. He explained human beings have these amazing abilities to transcend our three-dimensional nature, so we can actually project ourselves, our thought form, into another dimension. Is it not reasonable to think that maybe Bigfoot and other animals also have these abilities? Maybe their abilities are either on par or exceed our abilities, and they can eke in and out of existence at will. Is Bigfoot flesh and blood? I think yes. Is Bigfoot maybe paranormal? Maybe the answer, once again, is yes. Is Bigfoot transdimensional? Once again, maybe is the answer to that question. We're going to actually talk to this gentleman about his book, The Southern Skinwalker Ranch, in the next few weeks on the program. So make sure that you keep tuning in to hear that and so much more, Tim.
Yep.
Loretta Lynn's in the news, Tim.
That coal miner's daughter?
Loretta Lynn's son saw a Civil War-era ghost in their haunted plantation home. Ghost stories are enthralling all on their own, but when you add a dash of celebrity connection to them, they're downright irresistible, whether it's Howie Mandel's opening up about his ghostly encounter that left his young daughter targeted by the haunt, or Lucy Liu's shocking claim to have gotten down and dirty with a spirit from beyond. These spooky tales, they're captivating. Well, Loretta Lynn's 19th century plantation house has long been rumored to be haunted, and her son's story of seeing a Civil War-era ghost helps support that claim. It's difficult to untangle Loretta Lynn's personal biography from her art because the celebrated country music singer used her own life experiences as inspiration for her chart-topping hits. As biography explains, one of Lynn's most famous songs is Coal Miner's Daughter, which eventually became a best-selling book and Oscar-nominated film starring Sissy Spacek as Loretta Lynn herself. Loretta was born in 1932 in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky, and her childhood was marked by a love of music and her family's financial struggles. She married when she was just 15 years old and relocated to Custer, Washington, was supposed to help the newlyweds find greener pastures there. Eventually, Lynn started to explore her love of music more thoroughly, and her first single, I'm a Honky Tonk Girl, released in 1960. Lynn traveled the country urging music stations to play her hit before settling in Nashville, Tennessee. Then in 1962, Lynn released the aptly named Success, and her rise to fame from that point forward was meteoric. What followed has been a long and award-filled career that has made Loretta Lynn a legend in the country music industry. At this point, Loretta Lynn owns the entire town of Hurricane Mills, Tennessee, and that includes the 19th century era plantation home that she and her husband began sharing in the 60s. As Wide Open Country reports, the couple lived in the home for decades, but Miss Loretta, whose husband died in 1996, moved into a different, newly built home in more recent years. The historic home was a rich and complex past. Apparently, it was the site of a Civil War battle, and 19 Confederate soldiers are said to be buried on the property. Over the years, tales of hauntings have happened on the grounds, and they've overshadowed any historical accounts of the property's military past. Indeed, both the residents and staff members who have worked in the house have reported inexplicable experiences that seem to have paranormal origins. That's pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Loretta Lynn herself has recounted ghostly encounters in the home. She witnessed a woman in mourning both inside the home and in the graveyard. This woman is believed to be Beulah Anderson, who, according to her obituary, was born in 1885 and died in 1913 during childbirth. Rumor has it that Anderson has remained in mourning in the afterlife for the child that she lost. Lynn's children have their own tales of paranormal from the plantation. Her daughters have reported sightings of Confederate soldiers multiple times, and her son has a detailed and chilling account of an interaction with one of these apparitions. He witnessed a Confederate soldier in the house's brown room trying to take off his boots. Lynn attempted to get in touch with some of those spirits through a seance with friends, and it allegedly resulted in a ghost who identified himself as Anderson, the original owner of the home, angrily shaking the table. These days, guests can tour or even stay on the property, which makes the haunted aspects a bit of a tourist draw. Pretty interesting. Sissy Spacek had quite a long... Oh, well, that's a different article. I don't need to get into Sissy Spacek. She's not talking about ghosts. But there was another side article, Catching Up with Loretta Lynn, where she talks about another ghostly encounter. The question in this article was, you recorded Full Circle at Johnny Cash's old place, now the Cash Cabin Studio. Did you feel his presence there? Which is an interesting question to start off an interview. That's literally the first question they laid down. Yes, you're not going to believe this. I cut more than 90 songs out there and did one of his songs. I was standing at the microphone singing, and the door opened from the control room into where I was recording, and in walked John. I didn't think anything of it because I was so used to seeing him. We were great friends. He had one of those gray uniforms on from the Civil War, and all of a sudden it hit me. Lord, that was Johnny Cash. I quit singing. His son came in and kind of laughed at me, but I told him Johnny came in and walked through that door. That shook me up. I don't think anyone believed me, so I didn't say anything more about it. Everyone thought that old Loretta was just seeing things. Well, we've got a link up for these stories, so if you want to go deeper into that article as well, you can just check it out. Go to darknessradio.com, click on the news tab, and click on the Loretta Lynn story. There's more links to the ghost stories there, so you can check it out as well. All right, let's see where we're going to go next. Well, heck, why don't we do this, Tim?
Okay.
Since we're talking music, there is a seller of a haunted paranormal ghost guitar in the news, Tim.
Really?
It's been a busy month for the macabre musical instruments. First, there was a Skelecaster made from human bones, and now there's a guitar haunted by spirits reportedly summoned up by Satan and rock-loving teenagers back in 1979. Fortunately for anyone looking to own a possibly demon-possessed instrument, the latter of these items is up for sale through online music marketplace Reverb and comes with a wonderfully in-depth description of its sordid background. Haunted paranormal ghost guitar is described as having come into the seller's possession quite by accident, and now is being sold because it's better owned by someone more in tune with the creepy forces of the malevolent netherworld. The guitar's asking price is currently set at a very evil $666, Tim,
Ooh.
plus $66.60 shipping. That's the devil's tax, Tim. The listing, written in a tone of high Vincent Price-esque camp, says the ghoulish guitar was once owned by a neighborhood kid rumored to be into devil worship, seances, Aleister Crowley, black magic, and other dark endeavors of the spirit world. This neophyte necromancer died mysteriously on Halloween 1979 at 13 years old, apparently electrocuted, even though this is an acoustic guitar. Years later, the listing reads, the seller ran into the defunct boy's mother, herself a propagating practitioner of the pagan arts, and was given the guitar. In the time since, its strings have been heard to discordantly ring out, which means somebody's been plucking those strings, Tim.
Yep.
All on their own. The guitar was transported itself from a closet and onto the owner's bed, and it once levitated out of a trash can and could be heard being played. Now, the author of this article reached out to the seller, professional musician Eddie Marabaker, about the listing and his cursed guitar. Marabaker says his listing has racked up just shy of 12,000 views. As of yesterday afternoon, that he's received 48 offers and was even contacted by the TV series Ghost Hunters, who wanted to devote a full episode to the dastardly tale. I don't think it's Ghost Hunters. Might have been Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
He declined everything that's come his way so far because he wants the guitar to go to the right person. Most people, Marabacher wrote in the email, have messaged to say they found this listing funny or made offers because he suspects they want the guitar to use in some occult ritual. Others have been in touch to express how angry they are that he'd allow this dangerous guitar to get out into the world. When asked whether he thinks the ghost guitar is actually haunted, Marabacher wrote, "It isn't so much what I believe or not, but rather what the reader believes that's important. In any case, he's pretty attached to it until the right buyer comes along because he gets a certain magical mojo out of her when writing or performing with it. You can hear the guitar on songs uploaded to Marabacher's YouTube channel, including its acoustic sound of the incredibly non-evil sounding track, Leave All Your Cares Behind. As to the instrument's actual make, Marabacher's listing says he thinks it's a guitar is a K-Western special from the late 50s or 60s, but Satan has apparently stricken the brand name decal from the headstock, so it's hard to be certain. He advises the eventual buyer to please use extreme caution when conjuring the phantasmic spirits that seem to be channeled through this eerie instrument. We have an article up on this again at our website, so if you want to go and maybe place an order, see if you can get that demonically possessed guitar for yourself, you can certainly try that. I have another story that's also up on our website, Tim.
Okay.
A girl was photobombed by a ghost-like image at Santa Teresa's cemetery. It seems like the spirits that linger around Santa Teresa's memory gardens of the valley don't shy away from the camera. Usually when you hear or witness some sort of paranormal activity around El Paso, it happens in the evening. I mean, after all, there have been all sorts of encounters with some sort of paranormal activity around El Paso. For example, the time Ghost Adventures toured the DeSoto Hotel many years ago and caught some disturbance in the hotel's basement. Then last summer, someone was out late at night when they noticed a light turning on and off at the El Paso High School. Or the time in 2019 when someone spotted some unusual activity in a hotel downtown during the late night hours. Well, the hauntings still continue, except this next story takes place in Santa Teresa. This new creepy story involves Vinny Veramontes and his niece who visited their deceased loved ones at Memory Gardens of the Valley. For those who may not know about Memory Gardens of the Valley, the cemetery is located in Santa Teresa, New Mexico. Well, Vinny Veramontes and his niece sure do have guts visiting a cemetery in the evening. After visiting their loved ones, they took some pictures and video that captured possible paranormal activity. Later that night, Vinny reviewed the pictures and videos and noticed something strange. In the photo Vinny took of his niece, he noticed an unusual figure behind her. You can see the picture above, and it looks to be a male figure with a cloudy blur by his niece's face. But as for the video below in this article, while Vinny was about to squat down by a grave, you can hear a creepy voice saying, "This is Robert," along with the city noises. A lot of us like to get spooked or go on ghost hunts around the city in hopes to catch paranormal activity ourselves. But after watching Vinny's video and seeing the ghost-like image tempts our inner curiosity. Let me know if you want to explore Memory Gardens of the Valley for ghosts after seeing this. And that's what it says in the article. We'll have that article up so you can see the video and the photographs. To me, she's wearing a heavy overcoat, and we know how cold it's been in Texas lately.
Yeah.
And it seems to be it looks like there's snow on the ground. So this mysterious cloud, Tim, which I know Texans may not be familiar with, is condensation and breath. When you breathe in the cold, your heated breath will create clouds. And that's, to me, what I'm looking at. But I could be wrong.
Yeah,
but that's what I think I'm looking at. The audio I couldn't hear, but I'll put up the article again at darknessradio.com under the news tab so that people, Tim, and by people, I mean our listeners who are amazing and intelligent, can go check it out for themselves.
All right, then.
All right, Tim, here's a creepy tale. A New York let me try that again, Tim. Hey, here's a creepy tale, Tim.
Okay.
New York City renter discovers a creepy hidden room inside their apartment. Supernatural squatters? Well, a New York City woman is convinced her apartment is haunted after uncovering a creepy hidden room straight out of a horror flick. She documented the spine-tingling discovery in a series of TikTok videos that have collectively amassed millions of views, Tim. Seriously, never would I have expected to find this, and I documented all of it, writes Samantha Hartsoe, in a caption for the first clip, which boasts a staggering 7.4 million watches. In the bone-chilling video titled A New York Mystery, the perplexed renter reveals that she had felt cold air blowing from her bathroom, despite the fact that no vent was working. Initially thinking nothing of it, she became intrigued after discovering that the draft was coming from behind the bathroom mirror. The plot thickens in part 2 when Hartsoe and her friends decide to remove the mirror, revealing a dilapidated hallway with a hidden room at the end. One of her pals compares it to a secret dungeon from the movie Parasite. I have to figure out what's on the other side of my bathroom, intones Hartsoe, before climbing through a hole in the sheetrock and into the spooky space, leaving the rest of the impromptu Scooby-Doo crew on the other side. Needless to say, TikTok viewers were on the edge of their seats. "Are you okay? Do you need me to call someone?" wrote one concerned citizen in a reference. Another wondered if Hartsoe made it back, given that it had been 3 hours and the Explorer hadn't posted an update. Others compared the scenario to the movie Candyman, in which a woman summons a malevolent spirit by calling his name 5 times in the mirror. Candyman, 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 Candyman. Who can take a rainbow, sprinkle it with dew? That's what would happen to me, is Sammy would pop up in her mirror and start singing Tim. That'd be an awesome version, though, wouldn't it?
That would be, yeah.
Unfortunately, Hartsoe's apartment reveal, which doesn't happen until part 4, is a bit anticlimactic. After pursuing the space, while armed with a hammer, Hartsoe discovers what appears to be a whole other apartment with a disconnected toilet, some exposed pipes, and a few trash bags and boxes. Tim. "I made it out alive," she said after exiting the space, and adding as she replaces her bathroom mirror, "My landlord's getting a really fun phone call tomorrow. It certainly doesn't hold a candle to the white knuckle incident last week in which 2 adventurers stumbled upon a ghostly figure in an abandoned United Kingdom nursing home." Well, I think we talked about that last week. But if you'd like to see this article, it's up on our website, and you can see her TikTok videos, so you can see it for yourself. That would be weird, wouldn't it? You're renting a place and you move the mirror and find a whole nother home built into it.
Yeah, that'd be slightly alarming. Yeah.
Would you go through, Tim? Would you go through the hole and see if you enter another dimension, not only of sight and sound, but of mind?
I'm about to say something that would be perfect for a button bar, but Dave, I'm a little too big to fit in most holes. You know what I'm saying?
That's what he said. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah. All right, Tim, Thokolosi is on the loose.
A what?
A Thokolosi.
Yeah, that's what...
A young boy has been tormented by a faceless creature in Tobane. A violent, short-tempered, faceless creature that we would call Danny DeVito, with a fierce throw and an even hotter slap, has been tormenting an 11-year-old Tobane primary school boy. The child was temporarily taken out of school and briefly relocated to Mamadinare, and his parents sought refuge from the supernatural being, which has made a habit of slapping and choking him. So let me get this straight. Your child is coming in with choke marks and slap marks, and it's a paranormal experience, and you remove them from school, so the questions stop. Maybe I've just watched too many true crime stories, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Throwing stones at passing cars, breaking windows, and even slapping the pastor reportedly sent to exorcise it, causing the man of God to flee, are just some of the things this faceless terror was accused of. News of a Thokolosi in the village of Tobane, nestled deep in the eastern part of Botswana, some 20 kilometers from Selby, broke on social media late in February. The allegations would later gain traction as more stories about the Thokolosi, or Goblin, throwing tantrums in the village emerged. In an interview with The Voice last Saturday, 2 weeks after the Thokolosi first struck, the tormented boy's grandmother and guardian, Mamatasa Modisi, insists that the reports have been greatly exaggerated. However, the old woman reluctantly admits that strange happenings have hit her home recently. Literally, 4 smashed windows indicate her absent grandson is further proof that something is amiss. A staunch member of the African Baptist Church, Modosi angrily blames a certain Mama Patricia for spreading falsehoods about her friends or about her family. She's a daughter to a traditional doctor in the village, and I was alerted to this personal attack by concerned neighbors who shared a voice recording of her just spewing lies and making all sorts of claims. Visibly uneasy and growing increasingly agitated, the granny reveals her grandson woke up in the middle of the night weeping that he had been pinched and punched by a spirit. Like this past Saturday, he woke up screaming, saying something was hitting him. He was evidently in pain, but I could not see anything. I don't know why someone will go around claiming a Thokolosi attacked my son. How do they know that? Well, maybe because if you're not doing it, and the kid's parents aren't doing it, and the Thokolosi, this goblin, is a rumored creature in your village, I don't think that's a fair stretch. Or I don't think that's a bad stretch to imagine maybe it's this Thokolosi, this goblin that's attacking your kid. Personally, it sounds like family strife.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I've never seen a Thokolosi in my life, and I've, just like everyone else, I've no answers, she said, fixing the reporter with a soul-piercing stare. Standing in her well-swept yard with several chickens roaming about, blissfully unaware of the old woman's anguish, Medosi further told the Voice the faceless intruder has a habit of throwing stones at her two-bedroom house. The first time it happened, I was at a neighbor's house around midday when I heard a loud bang on the roof. I initially thought teenage boys hunting birds may have thrown the stone. However, the second stone landed, and together with my neighbor, we went out to investigate. When a third stone hurtled through the front window, they realized something out of the ordinary was happening. So I love that she doesn't believe that it could be the Thokolosi, but there's all this weird stuff going on. This thing continued for some time, and as you can see, all my windows are broken, but that's as far as it goes. No passerbys have been hurt, nor stones thrown at passing cars. The village leadership even came to assess the damage, and none of them were slapped by the alleged Thokolosi, she said. Now, as you mentioned, you've been here for the past 2 days. Has anything slapped you yet? Challenged Medosi, adding her grandson was due to return the following day. In an interview with The Voice, Kagosi Namatasigo Multasadi of Tobane confirmed visiting the tormented family after the matter was reported to her office. We saw the broken windows and the little boy, and that's as far as I can say. I don't know where the Thokolosi story came from, maintained Kagosi Matasadi, who declined to have her picture taken. Meanwhile, a prominent religious leader in the village, Prophet Frank Maud of Heavenly Assembly International Church, confirmed stories of mysterious creatures that are rife in the village. So your holy man believes in this stuff, but the woman does not. Would you feel that then maybe Grandma's telegraphing something? If she's insisting it's not a supernatural creature that's hurting her child, do you feel like that's kind of her trying to inform people that something else might be happening?
Oh, yes. Yep. Most definitely.
So it also could be that the poltergeist activity stems around this child. That's called a poltergeist agent. And removing the child from the home, maybe the slapping ghost, the more in-your-face entity is not there. We'll see what happens when he returns to the village. The youthful religious leader defined a Thokolosi as Satan or evil spirit that occupies a host body to torment the human race. I've been in the village for 7 years, and most common complaints of people who come to my church are people complaining about spiritual wives and husbands, people saying they're being sexually used while they're asleep, he said. We can pray and deliver these people, but they've got to keep reading the Word of God and be prayerful, concluded the pastor. Well, the Thokolosi's getting his groove on. Bow, chicka, wow, wow. Our final news story, and then we've got a couple more emails to read. Spooky video reveals the tale of a 7-foot-tall ghost called Mr. Fox who haunted the Sheffield nightclub in the 1970s. A video released to the Star by the BBC's archives shows a report for the evening news program Nationwide that first aired January 29th, 1970. Reporter Jack Pizzi begins by claiming that the city doesn't have much nightlife, but a new nightclub had recently opened. He never gives the club's name. Maybe Star readers can help figure it out, or Darkness Radio readers. The reporter says a ghost has been seen by lots of staff in the club, which has a casino and a restaurant. Now, doorman Big Derek, who's 6'4" and 20 stone, that's how they measure people there, Tim, by stones, tells of how he reacted to seeing a 7-foot apparition. I didn't do anything at that particular second. I was very, very frightened, actually. It was the first time I'd actually seen it or had any dealings with it before. Jack says the worker, Renee, was pushed in the back by the ghost and that Chef Vittorio's beautiful clothes were thrown around inside a locked room. Tables and chairs had been turned upside down and a roulette wheel was found spinning by the night watchman. Another male member of the staff says he fled when he saw the ghost turn and look at him. A medium called in, said it was an old man wearing a flat cap who was looking for a shop with 3 bullseye windows that was on the same site before the war. The ghost's name? Mr. Fox, said the medium. Reporter Jack interviewed a vicar who tells of going from room to room, including the loo, which is the bathroom, wishing peace upon the building, celebrating the Eucharist, and sprinkling holy water everywhere. However, the ghost was still being seen. Sitting at the bar with the nightclub in full swing, Jack wonders if Mr. Fox simply disapproves of modern nightlife. You can check out the Facebook page and share your Sheffield memories of ghosts, nightlife, or anything else there. We do have a link up to this story. So again, you can go watch this original video from 1970, or you can go to their Facebook page and talk more about it there. You can go to darknessradio.com and click on the news tab to find that out. All right, Tim, we've got a story from Colleen. Hi, Dave and Tim. My paranormal experience happened last year. It started with one of my grandson's toys making sounds on its own when nobody was in the room. Usually late at night when I was the only one awake. No one was ever in the room when it happened. By the time I would get to the toy, it would no longer be making noise. At first I thought maybe I was going a little crazy, but then my husband heard it too. So I knew it really was happening, and it was mystifying. The experience culminated in the wee hours of the morning on my birthday. I'd been listening to a podcast on my phone, most likely Darkness Radio or True Crime Tuesday. I decided to finally go to sleep and turned off the podcast and plugged in the phone into the charger in our bedroom, where my husband had already been sleeping for a few hours. I still needed to brush my teeth, so I went down the hall to the bathroom. As I started brushing, I heard music playing from the bedroom. That was really weird since A, I hadn't been listening to music, and B, I knew I had shut down all the apps. I ran back to the bedroom to end the app and turn the music off so it wouldn't wake my husband. There was one problem. There was no open app on the phone. I couldn't make it stop playing music. There was nothing to turn off because nothing was running. That freaked me out until I took a moment to listen to the song that was playing. It was Joe Stafford singing I'll Be Seeing You from the 1940s. It wasn't a song I had ever listened to on my phone. In fact, the only time I had ever heard it before was at my dad's house. It was a song that was a favorite of my dad, who listened to music constantly when he was alive. I had a psychic reading a few years ago and told me that my dad was pushing everyone else out of the way to talk to me. So the longer I listened to the music coming from my phone, the more I thought it was my dad coming back to say hello to me on my birthday. I had to shut the phone down completely to end the music. I thanked my dad for the birthday wish and told him that I miss him and love him, and it's never happened again. And the noisy toy never made noise by itself again after that night. I love you both, love all your shows, both podcasts and TV programs, the Holzer Files and Paranormal Night Shift, and I hope the Holzer Files and Paranormal Night Shift have many more seasons to come. That comes from Colleen in Florida. Thank you, Colleen in Florida.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave. I've been a fan of Tim and your podcast since the days of Mally and enjoy both of your conversations between best friends doing what they love. With things that have been happening within our world and what has occurred in my life has brought about some strange occurrences, or what I would consider misfortune. Before all the craziness, I contacted Reverend Bill Bean and had a phone call with him back in 2018. We couldn't connect through Skype, even though I have fiber optic, new computer, and gaming router. We spoke over phone, and he said I do not have any major spiritual attachments or things within my home. Contacting Bill was a strange step to the side for what kind of person I am. I do not want to ramble about my life but things have been odd since the day I was born and being adopted from Korea and growing up in southern Minnesota. An example of how things are strange is through my entire life. I've been escaping from the area and for some reason keep being pulled back to where I grew up. I've applied for many positions around the country and world with my credentials and experiences. I should have landed me the positions, but I either hear nothing back or receive a denial letter. I feel like maybe something like a spirit might be cutting I feel like maybe something like a spiritual cord cutting might be an option to try. I would like to try your spiritual journey trip you took, but do not even know where to start or who to contact. I do live in Minnesota, and if there's a chance for me to experience spirit cord cutting to separate myself from unneeded connections, I would be grateful for your help. Thank you. And that comes from Michael. Well, Michael, there is spiritual cord cutting. Look up spiritual cord cutting, Minnesota, And let me see, while we're talking, I'm going to try to do this, Tim.
Okay.
I don't know. Spiritual cord cutting Minnesota, Tim.
Okay. Minnesota, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Cutting etheric cords, spiritual toolbox, spiritual technique of cord cutting, cutting cords of attachment. I can't remember the gal's name. We had her on our show years ago, and she's the one that did it for me. And my mind is, I think her name's Lindsay. Gosh, I know if one of our listeners out there remembers that, maybe they could write in and tell me who does it. The other thing you could do is contact Echo Bodine here in Minnesota at her spiritual center. Contact Echo Bodine on Facebook or by email. You can check out echobodine.com, ECHOBODINE.com. And she should have an email there. She might be able to point you to somebody. She's kind of the big medium psychic celebrity in our state, and she does a holistic center, and she's reopening, so she probably knows people that can do that as well. But it's definitely worth trying. But even yourself, just start to envision yourself. Do a little 5-minute meditation every day in the morning. Sit up, breathe in deeply, breathe out. While you're breathing in, imagine that with each breath of cleansing air that there's golden light entering your body. And imagine literally that you're pushing the dark, the goop, the ooze, the smoke out of you through your feet, through the bottoms of your feet. So as you breathe in the golden light, just imagine it filling your inside like you're an empty vessel filled with a black smoke. And then just kind of push that smoke down and out through your feet, the soles of your feet. Breathing in through the nose, pushing out, breathing, and imagining the black cloud just being pushed down and out. And then just imagine at the end of it, at the end of that 5 minutes, that you're encircling yourself in white light and golden healing light. And start breaking those bonds yourself. Start imagining cords that tether you to everybody, people that you may even love extremely. Sever those cords. Imagine those cords letting go from you, because that is an important aspect. A lot of it is setting your intention. Once you begin doing that, then see a practitioner, you might get that feel back. But we all have these cords, these strands and tethers that tie us to one another. And that may be what you're experiencing, Michael. So best of luck to you, and we'll keep you in our thoughts and prayers here as well. That's it for today's program. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will be back again next week with more supernatural news and a Parashare. Tomorrow we'll be back on the show with what I think is a fascinating take, a skeptic's unexpected proof of life after death. We'll be talking with Mike Anthony tomorrow on the program, so tune in and check that out. And then again, Thursday night, make sure that you watch Darkness Radio Holzer Files, Holzer's Ghosts. It's a live video interview that I'll be doing with Cindy Kaza, Shane Pittman, and Erica Frost, talking about Dead Calm, the last episode that aired on Saturday on Discovery Plus of Holzer Files. We'll take a deeper dive. I've got some cool EVP, a couple of pieces of EVP, Tim, that did not make the episode.
Ah, very cool.
And yeah, it's creepy, it's cool, it's weird, and we'll be playing that on the show this Thursday, so you can watch it live on our Darkness Radio YouTube channel. Go subscribe, hit the like button and the bell so that you always get alerted to new videos that we post up and other things. You can also watch the live video stream on my Facebook page or on our Darkness Radio Facebook page. You can also listen to the podcast version, the audio-only version, on Fridays here on Darkness Radio. But if you want to see the beauty that is Erica Frost, Shane Pittman, and Cindy Kaza, make sure you tune into the live video stream tomorrow night. All right, stay safe, be cool, love one another. We'll talk to you again tomorrow right here on the best in paranormal talk radio. I'm Dave, that's Tim. This is Darkness Radio.